Okay, I think we are rolling. So we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. I see some faces that I love. How you doing? I'm so excited. My name is Cindy Geiger. I am from Plainfield, Connecticut, and I've been in It Works for since 2013, and I am every bit excited now as I was then, because it's just crazy fun. So we're going to get started. We have Colleen with us today, and she is just like amazing. Thank you, girl, for getting on. We're going to send out our prayers to Kim because, she's still not feeling so well. So we're going to take over and we're just going to get it going. So she didn't have to do anything. That's what's one nice thing about our business. So let's see. Colleen is going to be brainstorming with us today with some new ideas and other ways to look at your business. So Colleen, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and we're going to get going with this because I know you have a lot to tell us.
Yep, a lot of jam-packed information. So I am Colleen Lavanka. I'm a double diamond from northern Jersey, Kinnelon, New Jersey, and I've been with It Works for about 4 years now. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, I actually, it's a little different than what we typically call brainstorming. It's actually called Q-storming, which is question storming. And I belong to like a networking group, actually. And it's all different women of all different network, whether it's businesses or small businesses or something. But we come together, and they did this whole seminar, this training on this. And I was so blown away by it. And I was like, my God, it really relates to any business, but it really, really relates to our business. So that's why I wanted to kind of, go over this with you, do like a little bit of a team training. So the difference between brainstorming and what we're going to call Q-storming, which is question storming, is that, brainstorming is really based on yes and no questions. It's based on things being very, solution oriented. Like, you get a group of people together, and then you are going to brainstorm and you're going to come up with solutions for each other. But Q storming is a little bit different, and it goes a little bit deeper and gives you a little bit more insight, because what it does is there are no yes and no questions. And the whole thing about it is that you need to find questions. So I found a quote from Albert Einstein, and it kind of sums it up of how, if we all kind of thought this way, of how things would progress. So it says, oh God, look at that. I can't even read. I'm like blind as a bat. It's like tiny little writing. I think I need glasses. Okay. It says, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I can solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. So I thought that was really, really powerful and very unique, because I feel like, especially in our business, sometimes it gets frustrating because we see certain people run with this, like right out of the gate. They start, and a week later they're presidential diamonds, and sometimes you're like, oh man, like, how's that happening? Or maybe we grow and grow and grow and grow, and then we get to a point where we kind of feel that we're at a plateau, or we get stuck. So I think the whole thing is to truly, truly find what works for you and what works in your business, because what works in my business may not work in Cindy's business, or what works in Cindy's may not work in the next person's. So, like for example, blitzing. I'm a double diamond, and I can honestly say, and I'm not proud of this fact, but I can honestly say that I have probably blitzed 10 times my entire 4 years. I'm just so not comfortable with it. It scares the crap out of me, to be very blunt. I don't know why. I love talking to people. I love interacting, but the blitzing part, I just could never get past. Yet, and again, I have people on my team that blitz nonstop, and they rock it, and they have built their businesses on it. And I'm just like, it's amazed. I get amazed. And then, I remember I was listening to, I think it was a Periscope with Ashley Sinclair. I love her. She's one of my favorites. And she was talking about how Mark Pentecost had said to her, Ashley, you are never going to be a top recruiter. And she goes, he didn't mean that in a bad way or a negative way. He just meant like, that's just not your thing. You are amazing and a million other things, but it's not your thing. And she goes, and I didn't take offense to it, because you're right. I am not going to recruit or have, 50 distributors, 60 distributors in 1 month. That's just not how it happens. So, so I really feel that the whole thing is, your journey is your journey. And I know we say that a lot in our business. Excuse me one sec. Belle, you have to wait a second. Okay? I'm sorry. My daughter's like knocking at the door.
My cats are knocking.
That's why this business is so awesome, right? We're in our pajamas, got kids knocking at the door. So, your journey is your journey. And I have people that have built their business on social media alone, like strictly social media. And, I'm on Facebook now. I'm trying to get the Instagram thing. And again, that blows my mind. So I feel like we constantly have to remind ourselves that we need to find our strength. We need to find the strengths that work for us and what we can be empowered with. And although coming together and, people throwing out solutions like I see on our team pages a lot, like, hey, I'm having a problem with this. And it's great when we get solutions thrown out there, but the most incredible way and the most insightful way to be able to be able to come up with that is to do that yourself. Just truly hands down. There's another chart that I had pulled up that, and I think this is from, let's see, it's the William Glasser Institute. And I think this has been on a couple other different things as well, but you learn 10% of what you read. You're going to, or you learn 10% of what you read. You learn 10% of what you hear, 30% of what you see, 50% of what you see and hear, 70% of what you discuss, 80% of the experience, and 95% when you teach. So that's why we also say in our business, the duplication part is so incredible. So once you understand what it is that your strength is, and you are able to teach that in your own way, not in a way that somebody else gave you or said, no, do it this way, blitz or social media or whatever happens to be. If that doesn't happen to be your thing, you need to be able to duplicate this and go forward with your business on 95% of what you are able to teach. So, I think those things are so important. I feel like sometimes we overlook them because we feel like everybody else has the answer, but we need to find the answer ourselves. So, and real quick, I'm just going to give you another little thing before we go into the actual Q storming. I always like to do analogies of, things because I just think it makes more sense, or maybe that's just the way my brain works. But, I coach lacrosse. I just got back from a lacrosse meeting. Actually, I've been coaching for 6 years. My son plays college lacrosse. Both my daughters play. Like, we're just big lacrosse family. So, I am very comfortable. I feel like I'm a really good coach. I love working with the girls. I know the game. I know everything about it. So I work a lot with the rec department in our town. And the rec director, who I'm, got to be good friends with, she's like, hey, can you fill in and, coach the soccer game? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I can coach soccer. No problem. So, I show up on the field and I realize, oh my God, I don't know anything about soccer. So I'm like, yeah, go, you kick that ball to the goal. You move that ball down the field. And I'm like, what am I saying? Like, I know everything about lacrosse. I know nothing about soccer, so it was just so funny. So we are all It Works distributors, and we are all, in this business together. And there's a lot of our steps to success, and there's a lot of things that are the same with us, but we have to remember that just because we're a coach in one thing doesn't mean that we're great in everything. So find what you are great in and run with that, because that is what's going to take your business to the next level. So I just want to give you a little story. Okay, so Q storming. This is what we're going to talk about, Q storming today. This is amazing to do with your teams. Q storming is really not meant to be where you do it on your own. It's really meant to be where you do it either in groups of 2 or 3, or even in larger groups. But how we did it is we kind of picked out one person from the group, and then we were able to come up with this dialogue, which I'm going to go over with you. So because we're all on this Zoom call, I'm going to kind of explain to you what we did. And then I would love for you guys to be able to, ask questions at the end, or you can put it into, practical application yourself. But Q storming is based on 3 separate premises. One of them is that you get great results results when you start with a great question. So like I'm talking about when we're stuck or when we're stuck in our business, it's asking, well, not like, okay, I know I'm stuck, or, oh, I know I have to blitz more. Oh, I know I have to do social media more. You have to ask an open-ended question. You have to ask those questions to come up with a solution that fits you correctly. The second thing is that most problems can be solved with enough of the right questions. And then the third one that is so important is that the questions that we ask ourselves are the most important. And those are the questions that you truly find the answers to. So it's not when somebody, is giving you this answer. It's when you open up yourself and you say, oh, that's what's been blocking me, or, oh, that's what's been stopping me. So, Q-Storming has this a way to not create any type of competitiveness, but more of collaboration. And I know in this business, especially at Works, that is what we are all about. There is no competitive nature among any of us. At least there should never be. I work with sidelines, uplines, downlines, not even in my line, doesn't matter. That's the way that this business is meant, the whole one team, one mission thing. So that's what I love about it, is that it completely incorporates a collaborative nature, not a competitive nature. So when people ask you certain things about, or you're having these barriers, let's just say, you can break your barrier with a whole bunch of different, like a flow of different questions. So what you want to do is you want to start with a group of people, or yourself, or you want to start with, like I said, 2 or more, and you're going to write the questions down one by one, and they must be open-ended questions. Don't judge, don't censor, don't discuss anything while you're writing. They just need to be questions. And when we go along a little bit more, you'll understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about. So, and the volume of the questions is goal. It's not necessarily, asking 4 or 5. You want to really get like 20, 30 questions going. And then the question types need to be like, what is, what caused this, why or why not, what if. You need to think in terms of, questions that you're going to ask yourself that are going to point you to a different future, which is a really cool thing. And then you also want to prioritize the questions that are most relevant to you. So it's not necessarily coming up with a solution immediately. It's kind of that soul searching type of thing. And I think a lot of us in this business, that's something that we definitely go through. So some of the questions I'm going to go through, and you guys can write these down, because when we did this exercise, I was with a group of people that were in businesses exactly like ours. So these are very great questions to start with. So one of them was, what can I do to help people see or to share my vision and to say yes to my business? Now, don't answer these yet. These are just questions that you can write. So what can I do to help people see and share my vision and say yes to my business? Another one is, what is your limiting beliefs? Another one is, what is there about the process that makes you uncomfortable? So it might be, what is, process of blitzing, process of going out there, talking to people, one-on-ones, group things. So what is about the process that makes you uncomfortable? Describe your ideal team member. I love that one. Describe your ideal team member and your ideal team. And truly, when you're going to be answering these, you're going to think about these. What do you do for your existing team members to inspire and encourage them? How do you take the focus off of the how and just be? I think, I'm not going to dissect it because now I'm not following my own advice. But okay, so how do you take the focus off the how and to just be, just let your business grow? How do you separate your head from your heart? Somebody had asked that. What is the best way to transpire your motivation into your team? Like the motivation you may feel, how do you transpire that into your team members? How do I trust, or how do I let go of the outcome and just trust the process? Just know that it's going to happen. And what can I do to strengthen the nose? We say go for the nose. How do you strengthen the nose so that you can then like and trust the process of it all happening? And then what techniques have I not explored in truly helping somebody or reaching out to someone? And how can I identify with my team? How can I identify with my customers? And then the last one that we wrote down was, is there a niche that I haven't considered to add to my business building or my team trainings? So these are all, I mean, you can literally go through and so I think you kind of get the idea about growing, the questions, but these are questions that you really can, sit down with your team and you can ask yourself. Now, the next step is after you just kind of after you cue storm and you get all these questions written down, then you're going to pick out specific questions. Like you're going to pick out maybe 2, possibly 3 questions that really, really, really speak to you. So I know that the girl that we were doing it with, we were actually cue storming for her. Her number 1 question that she picked out was the very first one is, what can I do to help people see and share my vision and say yes to my business? So as we were helping her with these questions, and then she started narrowing down the ones that were really starting to speak to her. By the end of the session that we had done, she came up with like 3 or 4 of her own questions. She answered them herself, because that's the whole point of it. And to kind of starting to dig deep and to think, okay, well, what is it that's stopping my barrier? Or what is it that's stopping me from moving forward? Or what is it that's making me uncomfortable with this? So, it's just, it was amazing to watch her mind work. And she was so nervous in the beginning and was like, I just can't get past this. I don't know, what to do. I don't know how to talk to my team members. And as we went through this process, everything about her demeanor changed. And it was like these little light bulbs kept going off in her head, which was so fascinating to be a part of. That's why I came home and I said, oh my gosh, So part of the importance of asking yourself these open-ended questions and not just reaching for a solution. Like if somebody, going back to the blitzing, I'm just using that because that was my thing. Somebody says, well, you don't have enough loyal customers, or, you don't have enough distributors. You have to blitz more. You have to blitz more. You have to blitz more. For me personally, that was not the answer. And I was so nervous and so frustrated because I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. Like I just, that's not the way I work. So then when I started feeling more comfortable, like, okay, well, maybe I can't walk up to a stranger, but you know what? I can start a conversation with a stranger, and maybe 5 minutes into it, something comes up about, well, what do you do? Or after I build that relationship with them. So for me, that's what worked, So then I started thinking, and after we did this whole cue storming, then I started thinking, okay, well, what do I visualize my team to be? Who are the people that I want to work with? And who are the people that I know are going to run with this? And I truly started dissecting that and truly, really thinking about it very, very deeply. Then I started thinking about, well, what's my personal brand? Who am I branding myself as? What's going to make me different than every other It Works distributor out there? What's going to make Cindy different? What's going to make Katie different? What's going to make Rhonda different? What's going to make Coral different? What's going to make you different than any other It Works distributor out there? That's what you have to do when you're talking about branding yourself. Go with what works for you. Going back to that, your journey is your journey, Find your strength and run with it. Run with it. And that's what don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to be that perfectly organized person if you're not. Find the strength that truly speaks to you. And then the other thing that I started realizing is you need to focus on you need to focus on the feeling that you feel. And I was going to talk about this last night in our team, or another call that we have, but I want to talk about it on tonight's call. So you need to feel right now, how you're going to feel when it does happen. So think of if you do it 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, first time when you wake up, right before you go to bed, truly feel, stop for a moment. Don't wish it. Don't think it. Don't whatever. Truly feel how you are going to feel inside when you hit diamond, when you hit emerald, when you hit ruby, when you hit double, when you hit triple, when you hit ambassador, whatever it is in your reality. How are you going to feel? That is going to be amazing. And when you can truly be in that moment, you are going to be like, it's like the most exciting thing ever. And that's what you have to hold on to. So that's a part of your vision. It's not just thinking, oh yeah, I can't wait to get to diamond. Well, really, how are you going to feel when you get to diamond. So when you focus on that, that takes your energy, your source energy, your divine energy, whatever, that takes that to a whole nother level too. So that's really, really cool. And then one of the other things that we were focusing on is, taking action based on inspiration. And this is a big one, is what propels you forward. So don't just take action with your business without having the inspiration behind it, without having that feeling behind it of like what you're searching for. Or if those of you that were on the call last night about that tightrope example, sometimes it's much bigger than money. It is much bigger. This business is so much more than the wraps. I mean, I know we lead with wraps and that's our flagship thing, but every one of you that have been in this business for any amount of time, you understand that. So you need to take action for your business based on your inspiration, what inspires you, and that goes back to what your strengths are. So don't try to deviate from what your strengths are. Find your strengths, find your inspiration. That is what's going to get you out of a rut. That's what's going to take you to the next level. And sometimes, we kind of get lost in that thought process because we're so conditioned a certain way, and you have to realize you got to let that go, and it's kind of like starting from scratch. But and the other thing too is that I always say to myself, and I say this to my kids too, is being busy without inspiration leads to burnout. So that's a big one, because we get like today, everybody's shooting for these promotions, we're doing all these things, but and obviously today is a very unique example, but don't just be busy without, having that inspiration, because if you don't have that, you are going to lead to burnout. You're going to be frustrated, with yourself, with your team. You're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. So you really need to keep that into focus as well. And then, another big thing, and I like to use a lot of words or quotes, but, if you have no mission and no map, then you are never going to hit your target. So again, tying that all in together, no mission, no map, you're not going to hit your target. You need to know what your strengths are, what your inspiration is. That's what's going to lead you to your business, and answering some of those questions that we went over. And some of you will pick different questions. You come up with your own questions, which is actually, the point of it. So, you need to ask yourself, first of all, what steps are you going to take today? What steps are you going to take tomorrow? What steps are you going to take in a week from now? And, we talk about this a lot, about our goals and everything. But again, sometimes people just feel like they kind of get stuck in that rut and they're just not sure what to do. So if you go back and, and you listen to this, and if you focus on those questions and make them open-ended questions, you will find that the tasks that you need to do, or the goals that you need to reach, when they are truly speaking to your heart, that is when you are going to dig in and take off. I experienced that myself. I feel like I was always like a follower kind of, and I would rather have somebody just tell me what to do rather than me try to find it myself. And I realized, I built my business really, really quick, and it was like out of the gate, and it was, fantastic. And it was crazy. And then I got to a point where I needed to be in that leadership position, and I didn't know how. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to take that lead. I was terrified to take that lead. So I really had to stop, and I had to think about these type of things. And I had to say, okay, what is it that is speaking to my heart? What is it that I want for my family? Because what every one of us wants, we may have a commonality, but every one of us wants something different. And our inspiration comes from a very different place in each of us. So when you find that, it's almost like a veil gets lifted. You know what I mean? Like you can just really identify with where you are going to take this business. And we all have that ability. Every one of us has that ability to do it, because every one of us is unique. Every one of us is an individual, and every one of us can be branded differently, and to find out what it is that you completely rock at. So that's what you need to do, and then one other thing I want to leave you with is I talk a lot about, universal energy and, spiritual energy. And it's just like, the universe kind of helping us along with things in our life. So one of the things I want that you guys to not say anymore is the words I know. Because like if I say to you, hey, you need to start, you need to get more distributors, or you're only this many away, and you say, I know, I got to get them. What that does is that closes you off universally to possibilities, and that's going to unblock your intentions. So replace the words I know with things like, that's interesting, you're right, I do need to do that, or that's fascinating, or something. It's almost like a subconscious thing. So don't say the words I know, because once you know, you're not teachable anymore. And we all have, I learn every single day. I've been in this business for 4 years, and there is so much that I need to learn. So don't say the words I know anymore. Say the words that's interesting, that's fascinating, that's fabulous, whatever you want to change it with, but just change your direction and your focus into a more energetic type of, an energetic focus, I guess you want to say. So I hope, like I said, because of the call, and, I wish that we could do like, almost like where we could pick someone to do brainstorming with, but it's hard to do on a call. But I hope the information is enough that you'll be able to take these kind of questions back to people on your team, or you'll be able to take these kind of questions back. And even if you do it with just 1 or 2 people on your team that may be struggling, or if you're struggling, find 2 other people. It doesn't have to be your upline. It can be anyone. Find other people to kind of help you with those questions, because once you start answering them for yourself, not through other people's solutions, but for yourself, your business is going to take a completely different turn in a whole nother direction. And it is going to be that spark and that fire that you need to just set yourself ablaze. So I hope that was a little insightful and made a little bit of sense.
Oh my goodness, Colleen, I could listen to you all day long. And, before I got on this call today, when you said, oh, don't worry, we'll wing it. Well, my green, hear the conversation between my green mind and my blue mind, I was just freaking out. So, but you hit on so many, many good things tonight that just really hit home, like leadership, jumping out and being in that leadership role. That's a scary thing for a lot of us. I know for me. And finding your strength in your niche, that's like key, I know some people don't like the blitz and some are good at it, Miss Jen Piscopo.
I know. Jen's incredible. And I'm so jealous, because I was like, oh my God, I'd be like, I'm a sweater to begin with. I'd be I got big armpits. So I'm like, oh, here's your blitz card. I stumble my words. I can't talk. I get nervous, but give me 5 minutes in line with somebody in the grocery store and they see an It Works shirt of mine. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Right. Somebody asked me, I can do that.
That yellow and connecting. But there's a good book out there, Strength Finder 2.0, or I think it's called.
Absolutely.
To look for, if you're having problems thinking, what is my strength? I ordered one offline, which was the stupidest thing, because somebody already took the test out of it. So I couldn't do the test. So I have to get another one. But there was one thing that I really liked what you said about really feel, when it happens, when you think it's going to happen. And we did a little test I did the other day, but on the spiritual level, where, I was having a really bad week and I was feeling overwhelmed. My self-worth was going down the toilet, and all these bad thoughts started coming in. And I didn't think I was, good at any, anything. And then something Kim had told us, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So for that couple minutes, I took and I said, okay, I'm going to view how God looks at me. So I closed my eyes and I thought all the things what God would say to me, and you know what? He said some pretty amazing things about me. So it was just burst my day, I was totally different. So that goes a lot with what you were saying about how you feel at the, about when that's going to happen. So change your whole mind thinking,
It absolutely does. And I believe in that so much. And people hear me say this all the time. I always say the words, think as if it's already happened. And I know, you may not be able to go through 12 hours a day like that, but you can find 10 or 15 minutes a day, because, and it's funny, I just had this conversation with my son the other day. I kind of had to remind him, we have like radar screens, okay? And we know that in this little box, this is all the things that happen. You have no idea what is out there in another part that's not in your radar screen. So you have to let the universe bring that to you. And, it's like, you can whine and moan and complain and be frustrated. The universe doesn't care. It's like, okay, that's what you want more of. Well, then let me give you more whining, moaning, complaining, and whatever. It's like, it doesn't realize, it's like, so you have to put it out there to attract it. And it's like the law of attraction. It truly is. It's the like with the like. Whatever you think about, your thoughts create your reality. So that's why this whole Q storming is so important, because when you visualize, what do I want my team to be? What do I want, the next person that I meet to be? How exciting is that going to be? And think of that. When you think of the perfect team that you have in your mind, and all the wheels are turning right, feel how that will feel. Like, think of how amazing you are going to feel and how much easier it's going to be able to transition into that leadership role, which is then going to transition into a legacy role, because leaders create more leaders. So it just becomes this incredible, like waterfall of like all this awesome stuff that's going to happen to you. But you need to take that time out during the day, and you need to feel how you are going to feel when whatever goal it is, that happens. And one example too, my husband used to get so mad at me. He is very black and white, and there's like very little gray area. And I had to like chip away and break down the barriers. And I think that's my whole opposite attract thing. And he's amazing and wonderful. But I would talk about Italy. I can't wait to go to Italy or Australia or Ireland, whatever. And he'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm sitting here trying to pay the mortgage. You're talking about going to Italy? And I was like, I didn't say I'm going tomorrow, but I know it's going to happen. And I visualized that and thought of it when it was on my dream board. And I truly like thought of how it was going to feel when I was there, and like the excitement, whatever. And let me tell you something. We went to Italy this past year for 12 days, and it rocked, and it was incredible. And we're on a train between like Rome and Tuscany. I was like, see, I told you. You know what I mean? And I started that like 4 years ago, but that's a huge example. But it could be little everyday things. It could be, start with something small. And that's what I do. Doesn't have to be something enormous. And that's the key too. Start with something small. If your goal is to be Ruby in the next month, or if your goal is to, you're almost at Diamond, you're almost at Emerald, whatever it is, or if your goal is to just get 3 new distributors that completely click with you, feel how that feels. Feel the feeling in your heart, and it will come to you. The universe will bring it to you. I promise. Like, it just happens. I don't know how it happens, but it does. And don't worry about the how. That's the other thing. Don't focus on the how. It'll happen. It will. Think as if it's already occurred.
If you think it will happen. You can do it. So,
Well,
Colleen, yeah. We are coming right at a little bit over 9 o'clock, and I would love to keep this going. But the Show Me the Money call is on with Pam Shots. I can't talk tonight. Pam Souter, and she's going to be doing steps to success and going through how to build your business. So if you want to pop on that, go to your event page and scroll down on your calendar, and on the date you'll see it. You can click right on and get right on. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to stop the recording, and hopefully Katie's going to show me how to get it up posted. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Love you all. Thank you so much, Colleen. That was awesome. Bye, guys.